opposite of Taylor ruins the day. Taylor saves the day. I become a lifeguard where my job is to save the day. My job is when shit's going wrong, I'm going to go inside, I fucking do the chest compressions, bring someone back to life, which I've done with my bare hands on someone's chest, breaking their ribs, shocking them 7 times with the automatic external defibrillator, being in the back of the ambulance, pushing on their chest, shocking them more in the back of the ambulance, then them coming back to life. I've literally had that happen. And it's in those moments where I go, yes, and I'm healed for a brief fucking second, because it's a tiny Band-Aid on a gaping, bleeding wound, a gaping, bleeding wound that is directing the course of my life.
Today, my guest is Taylor Conroy. Taylor is the CEO of the Idea Collective. He's also had an incredible background in his personal life and professional life. He was a speaker. He's given amazing TED Talks. You can look those up on YouTube. He has done amazing social entrepreneurship work as well. He's built hundreds of homes all over the world to help people in need. He's also just a fun guy to be around. And we really hit it off when he was on the podcast back on episode 29. And he invited me down to his place down in Encinitas to go hang out and surf and to do another podcast. So this is the result. And in this episode, we talk about what really makes people driven. We also talk about Taylor's experience with ayahuasca and how that's been very healing for him. And he tells a hilarious story of rescuing a dog. This one's kind of all over the place, but I think you're going to enjoy it. So let's go to the interview. Taylor Conroy.
What drove you to be such a world beater?
A what?
You're a world beater. You're super successful. You've made fortunes. You've been a bodybuilder. You live in a beautiful home on the beach.
Yeah.
Where did it all come from?
I'll tell you exactly where it came from, Brandon, Carr, because recently I figured out where it came from.
Yeah.
And it came from this deep childhood wound of thinking that I ruined things.
That you ruin things?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a very, very clear belief that I ruin things. That when stuff gets good, Taylor fucks it up. Yeah, it sucks. It really sucked. I'm 37. I'm so happy that I finally found it, because it was really messing with my life for a long time.
I would bet.
Yeah, a long time. And you want to hear the story?
Yes. And so, like, for those who are listening, I did not know what we were getting into with that question, but let's go.
Yeah, you just touched on a I wouldn't say a new wound, but the emergence of an old wound, and therefore the healing of an old wound is what you just touched on. You know,
great.
The scab is formed. Okay.
Okay.
And it's good, and it's healing. So here's the thing is, so let's flash back. Okay, I'm 37. Let's flash back 21 years ago. 6 years old, at a party with my parents. It's my parents' friends, party.
Yeah.
I'm friends with their son. He's 8 years old. We're having a great time. The 8-year-old, he's got his friends over. It's at his house, and he's not paying attention to me. And I'm like, why isn't this guy paying attention to me? When we play one-on-one, we have fun and we have a good time, and he's down on my level, right? But now he's like kind of cool with his friends, and they're a bit older, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Why aren't we playing? So I start acting out, and I think I had some birthday cake in me. And back then I wasn't gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, everything-free, Encinitas bro. So I ate all the whatever. Anyways, I'm acting out. My parents give me the warning, like, cut it out, or we're going to need to leave. And I'm like, whatever, birthday cake brain. And I'm acting out, and at some point, they just say, oh, that's enough, Taylor's losing it. They grab me by the arm, throw me in the back of the car. I'm fucking crying and in trouble. And I've just been embarrassed in front of my friend and his older friends, And I'm confused, and no one's asking me, like, yo, how are you feeling right now, Taylor? Where's that feeling in your body? No one's, like, going through some process with me. I'm just in shit.
Yeah.
And so it went from being super fun to being horrible, right? Like that. Like, it felt like out of nowhere. My little 6-year-old brain's just trying to catch up. And that, it just kind of rolled into this deep belief that I ruined things. Like, Taylor ruined the night. We had to stop. We had to go home because of Taylor. He was acting out, And I didn't even know that was a core wound until very recently. I'm talking like 3 weeks ago. I did a really incredible deep dive plant medicine journey that brought me to that realization, watching that scene unfold and being like, whoa, I had no idea that's where all this came from. I'm trying to answer your question of, like, you said a very complimentary question, how did you become a world changer? Dude, I spent 20 years of my adult life trying to prove that I don't ruin things, trying to prove that I'm a good boy, And you look at my career, I became a firefighter. What's my job as a firefighter? To save people. What's the opposite of ruining things? Saving the day. I became a firefighter because I wanted to continually, and subconsciously put a Band-Aid over that wound that I ruined things. I wanted to prove that I didn't ruin things. And I would always leave things early. Throughout my adult life, dude, I'm 37 years old. Half of my time where I've been relationship available, so let's say the last 20 years, right? Like since I started kind of dating and being romantic with women, half of those 20 years, so 10 years, I've been in relationships, long-term relationships. And I've never been broken up with. I've never been broken up with. Why? Because I end it before I can ruin it. I ruin it before anything can happen. I end it to protect myself.
So you have like these serial monogamous relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Like one after the next, but you always cut it and move
on.
on.
Always, yeah. There's like, I'll be in it for 2 years, and I'll rip it. It'll just end, right? Just leave these, I'm so sorry, my poor past girlfriends, but leave these women and just like, wait, what the hell just happened? Bro was just all in, and now he's all out.
Right.
And it came from a really deep place of this pattern playing out over and over again, ruining things. And so, go deeper than that. It's not just like getting in a relationship with the perfect woman and then I ruin it. It's like I'm getting in a relationship with people that I know I'm going to subconsciously know I'm going to ruin it with. Getting in a relationship with people that are not my ideal partners, right? And everything layers on itself. It's not just Taylor like a wrecking ball coming in and ruining life, right? It's also Taylor getting with women who, deep down, I went on a string of my long-term partners. All of them had issues with their father. All of them. All of them had abandonment issues. And so they picked a guy that's going to abandon them, right?
And do you think you were selecting subconsciously?
Hell yeah, we always are. We all are. I'm doing that all the time, right? And if we look at, if we want to know how our inner world is, like look around us, right? Am I picking people that are dependent on me, that need me, that at some point I'm going to drop them? What do you think their childhood was like? That's what happened. And I'm just playing out that part. I have a relationship with someone now, not a romantic relationship, but a working relationship where I know I'm her father figure in this relationship. I see it. I see it getting reacted like, she even said something to me the other day of like, I don't want to like go too deep into it, but just saying, I just knew that I was her father in that moment. I was playing out a pattern that she had with her dad, right? And that happens when you're the owner of a company, right? People put you in this position of authority kind of thing, and then can project their own stuff. They can like transfer stuff that they've had in their background with their mom or their dad onto you as the authority figure, right? So anyways.
Yeah, we see this all the time in the military.
Do you really?
Especially people who are coming from like a rough family situation, like they're looking for a dad. And then like you got this commanding officer and he becomes the father figure and they call it the family. Like they'll talk about their squadron or their unit as a family.
Oh my gosh.
And then it happens all the time.
Then what's happening? How are they reacting once they've got the metaphorical dad?
Well, a lot of people, it's great for them because there's sort of like a sense of like, oh, I belong to something. This is great. But unfortunately, when people get broken out of that, it's very hard for people. And in the military, you break these relationships every couple years. So we had one case, actually. There was a girl who came. She was getting to get set up with a unit. They were deployed. So she came to my unit for a little while. I got to know her just briefly. But she was like brand new to the Navy, 19 years old. Nice girl. And then she goes to this unit and like really fits in, makes friends. Everything is great. And then her unit gets disbanded.
Okay.
The Navy says, we're not going to have this squadron anymore.
Yeah.
And so then she's in this place, though, where she doesn't have orders to her next job, and she didn't really have enough time to really establish herself.
Yep.
So they're going to send her back to my unit as just like a floater again, like she was before, like somebody takes out the trash. And the next day, she killed herself.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, we don't know what happened. Nobody knows her story totally.
Whoa.
But I saw this girl come to my unit, take out the trash, and be generally unhappy, go to this unit, be a part of something.
Yeah.
And then leave. And then the next day, when she knew she didn't have orders, she didn't have direction, she didn't have a unit, a family.
Enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's so deep. That's so deep. It'd be easy for me to be like, well, it's because she's got a deep core wound of abandonment and it got agitated at such a level, whatever. Obviously, there's so many layers there that are happening.
Right.
And I'm sorry you had to experience that, man. That's really intense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bet there's yourself maybe, and people would be like, wow, what could I have done?
Oh, we all wondered.
differently
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a really interesting topic in and of itself. Like, what could I have done, and what can I do when someone is triggered in a way that I know is around their own childhood stuff? Do
Yeah.
I try to like, what's the word? Like, navigate and be in a position to like help them with that childhood wound, or do I just kind of go say, by the way, I'm not your dad, so that's something for you to look at? 'Cause I think that's what happens, right? The universe, our life, our subconscious brings up these opportunities to heal this old wound. There's so many times it happened in my life, Brendan, where I'd go back and it would happen over and over and over again, where I'd be like, oh no, I'm about to ruin it. I didn't have to ruin it. It was an opportunity to heal that wound, right? There are always these opportunities. Like I was on the beach today, and I was thinking about this guy who I'm having a really hard time with right now professionally. He works for another organization, and he's really hard to deal with, I'll say. I'm being incredibly PC right now, right? Very hard to deal with. And I thought to myself, backtrack. I was in the waves 2 days ago, and I'm surfing, and I know how to surf. I've been surfing for a long time, 20 years or something like that, and I get relatively close to the beach, but I'm like very far away from the swimmers, right? And this woman comes out in the water. She says, "Don't you dare!" I said, "What?" I kind of looked around. I'm like, who's this woman yelling at? Like, this guy's getting lit up. And I'm looking, and I go, oh shit, she's looking at me. "Don't you dare! Don't you dare!" I'm so mad. And I looked at her. I'd never met her before. I said, "What? Excuse me?" She goes, "Don't you dare surf at us. You got out of here. Surf somewhere else. I've been here for 20 years. And I'm like, first of all, I don't know what that would have anything to do with it. Second of all, I'm not even close to you. But at the same time, there's this tone and this look in her eye that there's no point being like, there's no point even saying anything, right? I just waved her, said, okay. And I just, paddled out, right? I'm afar from her already, right? And there's just nothing you can do. Sometimes something deep in her was triggered. I don't know if she got bashed in the head with the surfboard at some point, right? Or she saw someone get hurt with a surfboard. Something was freaking triggered, right? And I don't know so in that point, I'm like, okay, cool. I just have to leave. And she stood there mad, and I saw her still like yelling, talking to this woman, like, that damn surfer guy, and in reality, she's saying, that person when I was 6 years old is just like that guy. And I really didn't like him, and therefore I really don't like that guy. Yeah. Yeah. And so that energy happened, and I'm always like kind of thinking, okay, why the fuck did that just happen in my life? That just happened. Did I just bring that in? What's going on, right? And that energy of deep trigger, being mad, and me taking it personally is a pattern of mine, right? Like someone's like super triggered by their own shit, and I find it so difficult to disassociate and be like, that's their own shit. Yeah. Some people can do that. They're like, that's their own shit, and they move on. For me, I'm like, no, really, what did I do wrong? There's got to be something. Did I freaking mess this up? Did I ruin things? So I was thinking about that woman. The next day, this dude calls me up. He starts berating me. He's just like, you did this and this and this. And I'm going, no, actually, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. You're a liar. Blah, blah, blah. Like, this guy was like, but luckily 3 colleagues of mine have also talked to this gentleman and confirmed that he's, got a couple, let's say, screws loose. Let's say he's, there's some hurt deep inside that he's not, hasn't addressed. And so this happens again the next day. And I go, what the heck? That's the same energy as the woman yesterday. And then I start thinking, when else have I brought people with that energy into my life, right? And I start looking back, and I'm like, oh, that time in business then. Oh, that time in my friend group then. Oh, that time there. And it's the same energy showing up in our lives over and over and over again. We think it's different. We think it's this guy, Joe, on the phone. We think it's the woman on the surf beach. We think it's the guy that invested in your company, or the person, your co-founder, or your sister, or your whatever, right? And we look at them all as separate times in our lives. But the energy is exactly the same. You feel the trigger is exactly the same. Their energy is the same, therefore it triggers us the exact same. It brings up all of that old stuff. And if we look back, it's from fucking 6 years old, and it happens over and over and over again in our lives, and it's going to keep happening because we're going to keep bringing it in, because deep down subconsciously we're worried about bringing that in. This is my own and being like, I'm worried about those people. Those people scare me, right? That like there's just no semblance of reality happening, and that really scares me. And so it's going to happen over and over again until it stops scaring me, because I'm scared of it. So therefore there's energy around it. So people are going to keep coming in as long as there's energy around it in my being, until the point where I'm totally over it, and they come in. Even if they do come in, I don't even notice them. Oh, that person's nuts. Next. Move on. You know what I mean?
So we've talked now about this thing that you have this story that, what is it? You always screw things up?
Yeah, I ruin things.
You ruin things.
The belief was that I ruin things.
And then you've got this life though where you've done so much, and now what are you doing? I mean, you said you had this experience 3 weeks ago doing plant medicine. For those who don't know what that entails, I mean, I've never done anything like that.
Sure.
Maybe you could start there and kind of talk what you've been thinking about the last few weeks.
Yeah, I would love to. I've been I started experimenting with plant medicine about 10 years ago in Peru with ayahuasca, and that led into a journey of DMT and peyote and San Pedro and more ayahuasca, psilocybin, anything that I looked at as a medicine, as something that could get me deeper into that subconscious or pull me out of it so far that I could actually see what was happening in there. There's a bunch of ways that it can explain. In my mind, what I've experienced, and friends of mine have experienced, and anyone who's written anything about it on the internet has experienced, is that it can be like 7 years of therapy in one night. Right? It can be a real deep dive, a real clarity into what's happening in your psyche that can be producing the results that are showing up in our lives. Right? So a lot of people go to plant medicine for business advice to them, that they can get for themselves, right? Yeah. They can go there for relationship stuff. They can go there for just inner trauma work, childhood wound stuff.
Yeah, a lot of veterans use it for PTSD.
Exactly. So and I just had another really incredible experience about 3 weeks ago. I haven't counted up how many ceremonies I've been a part of across all of the different methods or available plant medicines, but it's a lot, and all over the world. And this one just showed me this wound of Taylor ruins things, and I got to see, dude, I laughed the next day because what happened was I was riding my scooter down the road, and I saw this campfire on the side of the road, and I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if that fire kind of broke loose and lit that bush on fire, and then I would have to go put it out, because I used to be a firefighter because I'd know how to put it out, right? And then I would put it out, and then I would be the hero, right? And then I look across the street, and I go, it'd probably be even more amazing if that apartment was on fire, because if that was on fire, I would know what to do. And then I'm already back in this fantasy that I've had a million times in my life of the thing's on fire. It's like Backdraft. I don't know if you've seen Backdraft, the movie from like the 90s or something. It's a firefighter movie. But in my mind, this fantasy plays out, and the building's on fire, and I got to go in there, and everyone's screaming. They're on the ground outside. It's my baby's in there. My baby's in the apartment that's on fire. And then I climb up the balconies, and I go on my hands. This is like all in 3 seconds. This is all playing out in my head. And
I can see it. You're glorious.
I'm just fucking the hero, and I'm on my hands and knees, and people are like, "Oh, that guy's so brave." And I get the baby. I bring out the baby. Of course, it's a baby. Probably a single mom too. And anyways, I don't know about that. But I get out, I got the baby, and I hand it back to the mom, and she's so happy. And of course, there's probably a newspaper article and all this kind of stuff, and then people love me. So this thing plays out in my head, and I'm like 2 days out of this plant medicine ceremony, right? So everything's fucking vivid, and everything means something. And I'm like, wait a second, this is all on my scooter. Wait a second, why am I fantasizing about that apartment being on fire? Do other people fantasize about this stuff? Is this weird? And then I start remembering all the fantasies that I've had about saving the day. And I remember back to the first time I had a fantasy about saving the day. I was walking down the beach my parents had a lake house for the summer times, and we're walking down this beach, and I see this dog on the back of this boat that's tied to our dock, and the dog is leashed to the boat. And I analyzed really quickly in that moment, if that dog jumped off, which I can tell it wants to, it's getting hot on that boat, and it's kind of doing the jerky thing right by the end of the boat, like really wants to get in the water. No one else is around, and I think if that dog jumps, that leash is long enough for it to land in the water, not kill itself, but it's going to be kind of hanging there. It's not going to be comfortable for the dog, right? And it's only so long that it would be able to last, trying to swim with a leash to a boat, right? And I think to myself, no one else knows this. No one else is seeing this. If that dog jumps in, I'm its only hope. And then I think to myself, jump, dog. Fucking jump. Do it. Jump. The dog's name is Suki. Suki fucking jumped.
No way.
Suki jumped in the water, and you know what happened. I ran into the water with my clothes on like the biggest boss ever, picked that dog up, unhooked it, brought it up to its owners. Teresa and Spencer are their names, still friends of mine. Brought it up to Teresa and Spencer. Here you go. Oh, thank you, Taylor. It's amazing. Oh, this is so great. You saved the dog's life. Oh, yeah, no problem. Boom. Fantasy realized. Right? So that happened.
Well, on the one hand, I mean, you saved a dog. High
Yeah,
five.
yeah.
You know, the reality of it's great.
And I also could have walked out to the dock before that happened, but thank you. I'll receive that compliment of being a lifesaver. Seems that I've been wanting that my whole life. And you gave it to me. Thank you. So all that being said, that happens, and then my life becomes about this. So, because again, what's the opposite of Taylor ruins the day? Taylor saves the day. I become a lifeguard where my job is to save the day. My job is when shit's going wrong, I go inside, I fucking do the chest compressions, bring someone back to life, which I've done with my bare hands on someone's chest, breaking their ribs, shocking them 7 times with the automatic external defibrillator, being in the back of the ambulance, pushing on their chest, shocking them more in the back of the ambulance, then them coming back to life. I've literally had that happen, and it's in those moments where I go, yes, and I'm healed for a brief fucking second, because it's a tiny Band-Aid on a gaping, bleeding wound, a gaping, bleeding wound that is directing the course of my life, and it's a tiny little fucking Band-Aid, right? It's like one of those pieces of toilet paper you put on your face when you've cut it when you've nicked your face with a razor, right? It's one of those like little dabs in a gaping wound. Anyways, so I became a firefighter, and then from there, I started this fundraising company. We built 500 schools and libraries and water projects all over the world. We funded $5 million worth of projects, and I raised all of that money through a system that I invented, right? And every time a school got funded, I was like, hell yes, Taylor saves the day, right? Deep down, I'm not talking like consciously. I wasn't like, yes, I saved the day, and therefore I'm a good person. That wasn't conscious. What was conscious was the massive trigger that I would have when someone stopped fundraising. Okay, so I had this fundraising company, somebody like, oh yeah, I'm moving now, I got to stop fundraising, and I'd fucking lose it. Not to them, and no one would see it, but I'd be livid that I can't believe they would stop that fundraising. I can't believe it. All they have to do is move. They can still do it. It's freaking online, Damn them. Massive trigger. And I started looking at that recently, and it was coming up for me recently before the ceremony. I was like, what the hell is this? Why am I so obsessed with these people like doing it and hitting their goals? And I'd rationalize it being like, they haven't been into the slums. They haven't been into these communities. They haven't been into the red light district of Phnom Penh and seen the survivors of sex trafficking that have kind of made it out, and they haven't seen the ones that haven't made it out, and therefore they don't have the tie to the cause, and that's why I'm so mad. And in reality, I was so mad because if they don't hit their goal, then Taylor still ruins shit. Taylor's not saving the day.
So what have you been doing now to work this through?
Dude, the awareness of that was, I would say, felt like 99.9% of it. The seeing it and laughing at it. And it's, I would say, in my experience with plant medicine, it's less about what do you do. It's more about what is done to you in that ceremony. And then the stuff that falls away from life afterwards. When a blindingly bright spotlight has been shone on what was a deep, dark, recessed shadow, the shadow's gone. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they'll never be, affected by it again. And it's completely changed what I want in life. I wanted to write a book, right? I've been wanting to write a book. I have a book agent. My book agent, he's like, yep, we're going to get you about a $100,000 book deal, and this is what you got to do, and da-da-da-da. It was all lined up, right? And you build up my social media following to get the book and all that kind of stuff, and speaking all over the world and all that kind of stuff. And I've got my vision statement that here's what I want my life to be like. Yeah. Dude, the other day I just deleted all of that from my vision statement. I literally do not care about a book. I don't care about speaking all over the world anymore, which I used to a lot. Because every time I got up and speak, people clap. Good job.
Yeah, you have a tremendous gift.
You're great.
Yeah,
You
are.
Thank you.
That's your gift.
Thank you. And if writing a book, I want to be a #1 New York Times bestseller, because then people will see that I'm good. I can prove myself. Dude, I've been trying to prove myself for the last ever since I started. I don't know. Ever since that damn birthday party. Or you know what I mean? Other traumatic events in my life. Yeah. And at the moment, I said to my friends here the other night, right here, we're having a sauna, and I said, you guys, it's an interesting time in my life, because I literally don't care about anything anymore. And so, I'm not depressed. I'm not like despondent and like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still going to be involved in building homes all over the world, like we've done. We've built 150 for families living in slum conditions throughout Latin America. And what's crazy is the trips that I used to do to build homes. They used to be very hard to put together. Ever since that moment 3 weeks ago, everything just fell into place, because I literally don't care. I'm not here to prove anything. And so now we've got a trip lined up, $38,000. That'll be in any day now. bringing 30 people to Mexico. We're going to build 10 homes in 3 days. Then we're going to go to this really cool healing resort where people get to dive into their own stuff, Mayan sweat lodges, the whole thing. An amazing experience.
Yeah.
But it comes from this place of, that sounds fun. Yeah, I'm going to do that. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
There's no resistance.
Yeah.
Because of it not being driven by trying to prove something. You know, that's why I reached out to you. I was like, Brendan, let's have another podcast, because it was really fun with you. And you came down here and you said, like, do we want to talk about like your business or anything? I was like, no. It's just really fun to talk to you. That's why, you know what I mean? And that's why I reached out. I've never offered anyone to be like, hey, come and stay in my second room. We'll hang out. We'll have a good time. I just find you very fun.
Oh,
You're fucking great, man. And so that's how I hope that we can lead our lives, is like the stuff that's fun, rather than the stuff that's driven by trying to heal something that could potentially be healed in a healthier way.
Beautiful. Well, Taylor, before I ask my last question, if people do want to follow you online, where should they look for you?
Right now, I'm on Hinge and Bumble.
Okay.
Hinge and Bumble. Hinge is a great dating app. No, I'm actually being serious, because
My friend Will's told me all about it.
you what?
My friend Will's told me all
Really?
about Hinge.
Oh, it's
He raves about it.
hilarious. It's amazing. There's pictures. I said to this I was meeting with a mentor of mine yesterday and his wife, and they're past the age of dating apps. And I was telling him about them. I said, it's the craziest thing. I said, you can order a surfboard online. You can order towels. You can order wetsuits. Obviously, I'm looking around my garage here. And now you connect with someone, and they just like kind of come to your house and you go on a date. I was on this date with this woman the other day. We're going on a walk on the beach. And she says, like, you're on Hinge, like, what are you looking for in your life? And I said, I'm looking for my like adventure buddy, my life partner, my like ride or die friend. I'm looking for this woman that I can like have fun with, have a great life with. And I said, which right now you're in the running for. And she looks at me, she's like, you're joking, right? I'm like, let's be honest. And she's like, I would expect nothing less. Been one date, and she already knows I'm like crazy open. And she's like, yeah, I would expect nothing less. Go ahead. And I said, let's be honest. You're not here for you and I to be friends. You're not here for us to be like surf buddies. You're here to see, we're both here pretending we're super chill. We're both wondering, should I procreate with this human? What, dude? I'm not 22 anymore where I'm just looking to get laid.
Right.
I'm 37. I'm like, I know what I want.
Yeah.
My poop is in a group. I'm fucking like, I'm looking for my adventure woman. Like, let's do this together. Let's do fucking life together, right?
We talked about this last episode with you. Yeah. It's time for family.
Hell yeah. And so if I'm on a date with someone, I'm highly selective, and I'm guessing hopefully most people are. Actually, no, most people aren't. But I am with who I spend time with. And so it means that person is in the running for that spot, and I'm in the running for their spot, for whatever they're like kind of open for, right? So you may as well call it what it is. It made the sunset kind of awkward that we watched, but I think it's also a good litmus test. If on the first date you're going to get real as fuck and the person goes, hell yes, that means yes, second date. Her and I have not had a second date.
We'll see where it goes. Let me know.
But you said, so you can find me on Hinge right now. I'm getting off Bumble. I haven't really liked Bumble so much. But also on Instagram. Not for dating purposes. Unless you're my life partner and you know who you are, hit me up on Instagram. But on Instagram, Taylor A. Conroy is the best way to connect with me.
Cool. We'll link to that in the show notes. And I know we're a little over time, so I'll make my final question short. What's one thing you would say to 6-year-old Taylor?
Oh, dude. You're going to make me cry right at the end? Were you saving that?
No, I had my usual sort of, philosophical question about leading people.
About 6-year-olds.
But instead I thought with you, we'd mix it up. This is a different kind of episode.
Okay, I'm going back there right now. I'm going into the party. Actually, I'm going to go in the back seat. Taylor just got yanked from the party. 6-year-old Taylor just got yanked from the party. I'm sitting next to him. He's crying. He's going to look up at me, and I'm going to go, hey, it's okay. You're safe. You're enough. You're amazing. You're wanted. You're loved. And fuck, your life is going to be fun. And no matter why you do the shit that you're going to do, it's going to be awesome stuff. You're going to have a blast doing it. You're going to learn everything that you were meant to learn. And so right now, in this moment, even though I'm back here to change things, I'm not going to change a fucking thing. I'm going to let you feel all those feels. I'm going to let you have that deep fucking wound. I'm going to let you go through your life trying to heal it. And I'm going to let you fuck it up sometimes. I'm going to let you go through the bankruptcy that you went through. I'm going to let you go through the rock bottoms. I'm going to let you go through the terrible relationships, the good relationships, the bad relationships, the in-between relationships. I'm going to let you do every single one of those things because this all happened for a reason. And by the way, this is going to be fun as fuck.
Beautiful. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this episode with Taylor Conroy. If you want to help me get more great guests like Taylor on the show, then be sure to interact with this. If you're watching it on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I love your feedback. And if you're listening to the podcast, then be sure to leave a review, especially on Apple Podcasts. That is a huge help. And I'll catch you next time.